There's no time in mucking around here tonight. Boom, just like that. It's Thursday night. You're live on Ring Respect Radio. I'm Bobby Munson, the man over the very far side of the screen. He's the man with the angelic voice. He's Papa Spokes. Papa Spokes, happy Thursday. How you doing, brother?
Oh, hell yeah, Munson. Nice introduction, and glad to be here on.
And I think we lost him already that quick. We were just talking about this backstage about how we lose Papa's folks. Well, I mean, we'll get him back here. Here he goes. We'll give him one more crack at this thing. There we go. He's getting out of the way early, aren't you, Papa's folks?
Oh, this already, Munson? Yeah, I know, but I'm pleased to be here on Thursday night, loving it on Ring Respect Radio, as always, and with an interview guest tonight, a very special guest from the other side of the world, the very bottom of the world. Munson, you want to introduce him?
I will do that. He is the undefeated, unbeaten IPW New Zealand heavyweight champion of the world, the Great Ape Jayrilla!
Yeah.
Yes, sir. How are you doing? Thank you for being on Ring Respect Radio. Really happy to have you here tonight.
I'm so glad to be here. Like I've been keeping tabs on you guys quietly, and like as I saw your last show when you were reviewing, was it Reckoning? I had to be like, yeah. I had to be. I was like, I've got to get in on this because, I'm hoping that I could be here with you guys at some stage. And look at this, here we are. This is fantastic. I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah, we actually, when we were chatting with Jake Sheehan, he had recommended that we get you on the show sometime. We've been talking about it back and forth. We need to get Jay on this show. And I mean, what better time? And all of your great 2025 has been released recently on IPW New Zealand, the YouTube channel. So everybody who doesn't know you can get familiar with you, watch your journey over there, and go back even further than that because your journey starts even before that in IPW New Zealand. We'll talk about that journey in just a moment. Before we do, we got some great people here in the chat, including the Mangler here with us on a Thursday. Say hello, everybody. Happy Thursday to you all. Thank you. And Melball Collins also joining us in the chat. Thank you, Melball. Appreciate you being here. And I think that this is a new chatter for us. William Carriage is in the chat. Jay, I think you know who this is.
I'm going to tell you who that is later. Don't worry. I'll tell you who that is later.
Fair enough. Looking forward to finding out who that is. We also got... Here we go. Harleen Singh is in the chat as well, too. Thank you for joining us here on Ring Respect Radio. And I mentioned about people can go back and watch your journey in professional wrestling, Jay, but better than that, we've got the audience right here. We've got the ear. Tell us a little bit about yourself and a little about where your wrestling journey began.
So wrestling for me was obviously the WWF Attitude Era for me. That's when I started getting the very first thing I ever saw about wrestling was the Rock and Stone Cold feud over the Intercontinental title. And the very first promo I'd ever seen was when they're flinging stuff off a bridge for him to go catch it in like the scuba gear and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And just from that moment, just something about that hooked me. And I was watching Raw as much as I could until that was when my family were holidaying at that stage. That's when I got introduced to it. But then we moved back. So I'm originally from Fiji. So not many people realize that I lived in the islands as I was a younger kid growing up, and we never used to get wrestling. And so that going from having this month away of watching all this and having all this hype and enjoying it, and then going back was really hard. And then I got to the point where I would actually have an uncle in New Zealand who would record a 3-hour tape of Raw, which only went for half an hour here in New Zealand. We record 3 hours worth, and then whether a family member was coming over or whatever, would bring it back to me, and I would just binge watch the whole thing. Nice. And just try and keep up with it. But it was the whole. I think if I was to look into it, think about it a bit more, it was the fact that I was seeing a Polynesian boy on screen, and the fact that if he could do this, so could I. And it was just one of those things where I just thought I've got to figure out how to do this, how I could get involved in this, and in 2000, we moved to New Zealand. So our whole family had to uplift out of Fiji and move here. And that's where I ended up going to end up my last high school or college for you guys. And then, I ended up kind of finding, this is a funny story. I went to my first ever IPW show, which was Coastal Assault. And Jake Sheehan will vouch for this because he was there as well. as a crowd member like myself, not knowing each other at the time at all, but we watched that show. I went and hung out at a bar, which my mate was currently working at as a bartender. And who should walk in but the one Vinny Dunn? Te Tahi Vinny Dunn walks in, and he comes over. I introduce myself to him and stuff like that and say hello. And then I don't realize that his partner, his girlfriend at the time, is actually my mate who I'm staying with in that area at the time, his cousin. So this just became this 3 degrees of separation, and ended up talking. Vinny and I kept in contact for all this time, right up until I think it was in 2019 when I first touched base with him again at a show in Taranaki where they were doing a show. I just happened to be down there on a weekend. So I went to it and we were touching base, and he's like, "Hey dude, we're doing a tryout in January," which was January 2020. And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I couldn't think about it." My partner at the time was like, what do you got to lose? Just go try. There's nothing, if they say no, but just go. And so I went, did terrible at the tryout. Like I look back at that now and go, I don't know how far I've come so far from that being absolutely terrible. And then, 3 weeks later, I got the email later saying, "Oh, we'd like to have you come back every Wednesday." And then, we went through the whole COVID thing too. COVID was in there as well. So I did like 3 or 4 months of training, and then COVID hit. We were off for like 6 or 7 months. And then finally we came back into it. And that's pretty much the history from there. It's been nuts, man. Like, it's just been crazy. As you guys can see, like I just came out of nowhere. And the thing is also, people saw me at shows because, as we all do, when one of the things that we do at IPW is that if you're part of the training school, one of the things you got to do is you got to be there on a show day. You got to be there to help set up. You got to be able to learn the stuff that goes on and what to do during the day of a show day. So I was going to a lot of those, and people were seeing me, and they're like, "Oh, when are you debuting? Are you training?" and all this kind of stuff. And then I think the decision was made, and they eliminated 2023 was when I stepped from behind that curtain, and that was I still think about that, and I just think about the reaction I got, because we didn't know what I was going to get. A lot of them a couple of the guys were like, "Oh, you're going to do good, dude. Like, you'll be fine." But personally, like, you just don't know what you're going to get. And when I stepped out, the crowd was like, "Oh," that's what I aim for now. Like, if I don't get that reaction, I'm doing something wrong. So, or my time is coming up where I need to start stepping away or doing something different, So, I'm still getting them.
Which is fantastic. Again, when it would have been, I think, some of the cards for 2024 where we physically started watching. You were already the winner of the Warner Cup at that time, and we saw you having these squash matches with a lot of guys. And I remember sitting there with Jake here on the show and saying to him, like, "Man, there's something special about Jay that you guys are keeping secret right now. Like, this isn't your standard big guy going in there doing squash matches. This is a big guy that can get the job done, and he's going to pull out some secret weapons here when the timing is right." And Jakey had this little smile about him. It wasn't enough to tell us for sure, but he said definitely some things up his sleeve. Before we go back to that, Jay Taylor joined us in the chat while we were chatting there, as well as Auntie Collins, who's going to be on the channel later on tonight with Jose Gonzalez doing the Mother Tucky post show. Stay tuned for that coming up here long after our show here. But we were very impressed. We had a feeling, we knew, and as we've seen that development, I don't know how far along Papa Smokes is on the watch of the IPW New Zealand shows, but more and more, the more matches that they're having you in, and especially with the title defenses now coming up. Sorry if I ruined anything there, Papa Smokes, but you are going up against. They're going up against these big challengers and putting in some great work as well too, and really showing that there's more dimensions to your work.
The thing about the Jake, and I remember watching that interview with Jake where he said that he had to tell me to almost rein it in a bit, because he was right. Because I wanted to be like everybody else. I wanted to be this dude that did everything that all at once. Wanted to be the, just do everything. And he was just like, "No, calm down. This is what we're gonna do." And it was just like it took me a long while. That whole 2023, mid 2024 I was very much there was moments of being like, I really want to be doing other stuff. As much as I love doing what I'm doing already, I just want to do more. But then now, as we've start to come along now, it makes more sense. And I'm like, okay, I see where we're going with this. And now it's all paving the road for where we're going at the moment.
For sure. No, it's looking great. I'm going to turn it over to Papa Smoke, so I know he's got a tons of questions lined up here for you. So Papa Smokes, take it away, sir.
Sure. Well,
let's go, Papa Smokes.
Sure, no problem. You were talking about watching WWE product on TV and on videotape. I always find it interesting to talk to wrestlers because a lot of people nowadays have watched TV product, but then they realize there's local homegrown wrestling in their own town. What was that like for you? What city were you living in New Zealand, and what companies were you seeing when you first started going to local shows as a fan?
So my first, I when early internet, right, came out. So looking that up, hearing the dial-up sound out of your computer. The only real places that I found at the time was IPW, which was in Auckland, which is where I was living in Auckland. Was kind of, it was a good, well, back then it was a good hour and a half, 2 hours out of the way, and it was not going to be plausible. I must have been 17, 18, and my mum or dad wasn't going to drive me all the way over there, and I hadn't got my license yet. So there was just no way that was happening. And then there was another company that I was in contact with, which was Kiwi Pro Wrestling, which is KPW, which was down in Wellington, which has kind of turned into a bit the mishmash of Valiant Pro now. They're all down, those guys down there. So I had an opportunity to go to KPW, but again, that's at the other end of the country, of the North Island even. And at a young age, there just wasn't a plausible thing to do. And who knows if I'd done that move on my own and gone down there, because they had an idea down there that they wanted to start a Pacific Island nation of domination, and they needed a fourth member. And the guy that I was talking to was like, "We'd love to have you come and try out, and we'll train you up, and you can be a part of this crew and all this kind of stuff." So that was that drew me to it. But the real first proper show that I went to was that Coastal Assault, which then led to me meeting Vinny later on, which kind of, and I kept my eye on IPW, even though they weren't really putting a lot out on YouTube. I was just keeping up with Vinny and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously you get away from it and you don't really stick to it for a while, but I always made sure that I made contact with him and asked him what was going on and all that kind of stuff.
So Jake and those guys must have seen you in the crowd and just thought, my God, this guy's gigantic. We can use him somehow.
Back then I was a lot smaller.
Okay.
And I think Jake's like, I have to rethink this. I think he's 6 or 7 years younger than me. So he was a teenager. So he was in his late teens. So when he was there, because I had this discussion with him, I told him about that show, and he's like, "Oh, I was there as well. I was with two of my other mates." He's like, "Oh," and he says, "Oh, we would not have even noticed each other. Like that's how, like even looking at each other now, we didn't even realize until talking about it. That's how different we both are." So, yeah.
So, you work with IPW. We've also seen you make an appearance for SPW or in the Southern Rumble just this last year. Other companies that you work for, or has there been any interest in exploring more of the island, or even stepping outside the island, maybe somewhere like Australia or surrounding area?
Oh, I'd love to go to Australia. I mean, I'm not being picky about where I go in Australia. However, I'm one of those people that, so like you guys saw me take on Chad Atlas when he came over. I'd like to do I like that person. Since he's from IPW Australia and he came and did the match here, I would like to go back to IPW Australia and do a match over there. I'm just that kind of a person. They do something, they come over and do something. I'd like to go do something for them. That was probably on. I do Heathen Combat is another indie wrestling place here in New Zealand. I do a little bit for them. When he has something for me, I do matches for them. Not really much else. I've been trying to figure out others, trying to go down to Wellington for a couple of shows. I did do Potato Rocks last year, which you'd love this, Papa Smokes. It's a rock concert, craft beer and wrestling festival. So they do that.
Oh, hell yeah.
They're doing that. Yeah, so they did that the last 2 years, and I was able to go into the Rumble for that one last year. So that was really cool. So yeah, no, there are a couple other places that I still want to go, but I just can't. I'm just so busy with this at the moment. I can't. Mixing it up is just a bit hard at the moment. So, but
that's fair because you guys in IPW run what, monthly? Is it or how often are
usually
the shows?
Monthly, but although 2 months. Sometimes we give it a gap. We give it about a month gap, and then we'll do another show. Okay. So it's kind of it's a bit at the moment. We've got. I think we have like 2, maybe 3 months off in between throughout the year. Yeah. But otherwise we're stacked every weekend. We're either IPW Napier is also another place that I wrestle for. So that's kind of like our brother company, which is run by another wrestler from that way. So he has double shows. So he does a Friday and a Saturday. So they do a Friday night and a Saturday afternoon. So that gives us a bit extra ring time if we get a chance to get booked on those shows. I have to go because obviously I'm the champ at the moment, so they have me on if they can, and if I'm not busy. But yeah, I totally forgot about that. How could I forget about that? that's like weekends out of my months that I go down there to go wrestle. Yeah, but yeah, no, that's a lot of fun as well.
Oh, and Friday, Saturday shows back to back can definitely be tiring. So I'd imagine that fills the schedule pretty good. And yeah, that's crazy. Back to you, Papa Smokes.
Oh yeah, I'm just curious about New Zealand as a country too, since we've been covering some of the matches down there. I've been interested in reading about the country. So what cities and venues do you like, and what drives and areas do you like in that country?
Definitely like the Napier Drive. The Napier Drive is only 4 hours away. And when you've got a carload of wrestling-like minded people, it makes it really fun. And referees, we take the referees travel with us as well. So that drive is really cool. The one up to Whangarei up north. Oh my goodness, I forgot about that company as well. I can't forget that one. Aotearoa Wrestling is the other company that I also do wrestling for. You may see odd bits and pieces of me sharing it on social media when I'm doing a match with them on their shows. But so they do shows up north in Northland and Whangarei. So we go up there, that's about 3 hours away as well. So it's a good little, not too far away trips, where Wellington's like 6 to 7 hours. So I'd rather fly that than drive that, to be honest. So, yeah. But sorry, Papa Smokes, go back to the other party. What was the other party? So yes, those would be my favorite places to go. I love going to anywhere, to be honest, to wrestle. I don't mind anywhere. I just love being around the crew, and we've become kind of this giant community family that it's really good to catch up with everyone and see everyone as we and what we're doing, and just gathering together for those weekends or those show days. So it just ends up being a really nice time. I feel it's a nice time. As stressful as those show days get, because at the same time, as Jake would have said to you on his interview, that him and I run production for other companies. So for IPW Napier, and for Aotearoa Wrestling, those other things, apart from being the show being stressful, the production stuff, like a wire not working, and us all trying to figure it out, scratching our heads, going, "What the hell is this problem?" So, but no, I don't mind. I love going everywhere, to be honest. That's my bucket list. My bucket list for when I started wrestling was I wanted to win the championships that are in this company. I wanted to travel the different cities of this country and do any of the real unheard of events, like for instance, like the Porirua Rocks event. Aotea Square, which is what we're doing next week, is probably one of the biggest ones that we're looking at. It's gonna be nuts. That's just that's a free show that we're doing. It's been hosted by the Auckland Council, and they're doing it in Aotea Square, which is like next to the biggest convention center in Auckland, and we're doing it outside. So it's going to be nuts. So, but stuff like that, I've always had that on my bucket list, was just to tick things off that I wanted to make sure that I did and say that I could do, and come away with it being like, I'm happy I've done what I've done. There's always some of those guys that come out of they come into retirement and they're like, I wish I'd done that. Or I wish I'd done this. I don't want to have that. I want to have that bucket done by the end of my career so that I can turn around and be like, oh, yeah, I remember that. Or tell some story about it, Have moments like these where I get to talk to the people about them.
Awesome. Now, seeing as we're on the conversation right now of traveling and places to go, IPW got to go to Hamilton and tape a show there that you can now find on YouTube live in Hamilton, where you got to find out that this is kind of like a homecoming for you, going to in front of the Hamilton crowd. And you got to, the first time I actually got to hear you speak was that particular show when you got that passionate promo at the end of it. And great work, by the way. That was fantastic. How was that experience?
Thank you. Oh man, I can't tell you how stressed out I was going into that week. That week for me, man, my hair was gray. That's why I blonded this, because I'm getting rid of my grays. That's how many gray hairs I've got. No, it was just that I was absolutely nearly pulling my hair out because it was been a long time since IPW had been back into Hamilton, and we wanted to make a real good impression there and get the crowd. And we went all out. We had radio ads, we had flyers go out the night before. We really worked our asses off for it, and it paid off with over 700 people in it. Like, it was unbelievable. And the fact that I'm gonna try not to cry on this, because this is one of those moments, because going home was always one of the bucket list things too, was to have a show in my hometown, have family there. The only real downside to the whole thing is that I didn't have my parents there. My parents are no longer with me. So to have had them there would have been the icing and the cherry on top. But for the fact that I still had family there that came to watch me anyway, and the support that was there that night blew my mind. And yeah, I can't wait for April 4th this year, where we go back again and do it all over again.
First of all, sorry to hear that they weren't able to be there and they're not in your life, but I'm sure in spirit they were there with you, my man. Watching down and being very proud. So back to one more thing I do want to ask about traveling, though. You talk about traveling. This is a question I don't know why I don't ask it more often. What kind of music is the go-to music on the road when you have the opportunity to be in that car? What is the Great Ape like to listen to?
Do you want to know something? Now that I think about it, all our Napier trips, there's never been music playing.
Oh, really?
Because there is constant conversation going.
Yeah.
There's conversation going on about anything and everything, whether it's wrestling related, in our private lives. There's constant conversation. I don't think we've ever had a moment where it's been silent in the truck when we're driving down. So, and we all go down my truck. I have an F-150, so we all travel around in my truck going down on these places. And there's been, actually, I think there was one time is when I didn't drive. I think I was passenger and I fell asleep and the whole rest of the truck was asleep. So I think that was the only time it's ever been silent. Every other time, I think the last how many trips that we've been down to, I'm actually thinking about that. We've all had conversation going. And it's been really cool to be able to talk about it. And it's talking about what's coming up or what we've got, what's this plan here, or if I've got someone in the truck with me that I'm challenging for the show, we're talking match. We're talking match most of the way down there or something like that, So
awesome.
Yeah, there's not a lot of music going on now that I think about it. It's a lot of us we're just constantly talking about stuff and gossip, and it's gossiping. I'm not gonna lie, there's gossip in there as well.
Come on, we know how it goes. Bobby Stats joining us in the house. Bobby, thanks for being here on Respect Radio. And remember, chat, if you were joining us listening in and you got questions for our guests, make sure to get those into the chat, and we will get to them as well too. But speaking of those questions, back over to you, Papa Smokes.
Sure. I was just wondering what the circuit is like to work in New Zealand now. The country is actually larger than I thought. It has the North Island and then the other area as well, so there are some pretty long drives. But do a lot of the talent appear on various companies for various in various different spots on the card? I.e., when you come to a new town, do they have local preliminary talent and then they bring in upper card wrestlers, and how much does everybody travel?
Yeah, it's really based on the company. Like for instance, we'll go with SPW. So they'll fly someone down there, and that'll be the deal that they'll have. And it'll be It's usually I don't know much about booking. Booking thing is not my thing. I just watch and go, oh, that's interesting when they do that. That's the kind of thing, the person I am within wrestling. But yeah, it's really based on the company itself. So they just bring in whoever they feel they might need. Like when I came on to SPW that night, standing behind that curtain was a little bit daunting that night, because that crowd, when my name went up on the board, no one knew who I was, and they were all wondering, who the hell is this guy? But the moment I stepped out from under the curtain, the crowd did the exact thing I've always wanted, the ooh, and then the crowd came up, right? But yeah, it's also about, I think it's just about keeping things fresh and bringing other people talent in from other places, right? And because you don't get to see everyone, like there's not, I don't think, I can't remember the last time we had, it would have been K9 and Moody. They were up here last, that was in 23, I think they came up. That was the last time those guys had been up. Then the likes of having like Liam Fury come up to be in the Eliminator last year, that was cool. And for him, technically, that's him coming home. So, yeah, it was cool, man. Like, and it's really, it's just, it all depends on the company. I'll put it that way.
Yeah,
I think that's the best way I can put it to you, is that it's based on what the company wants and who they want. They'll pick and choose who they want to bring down. And, and usually it's just for those people in the South Island, they'll say, oh, well, we'll pay your tickets to come down. And then you just crash on the couch of someone's house at someone's house. And then you just fly back the next morning.
Yeah.
All right. Again, chat, ask your questions away. Next one that I'm going to ask here. Okay. Current IPW roster and somebody not ever in IPW. Who would you like to have challenge the Great Ape for the belt?
I would really like Jayrilla speaking now.
Yeah.
I really like to get my hands on Will Stone, because that
don't
dude
blame you.
pisses my crowd off, and I would like to throttle him.
I'm sure people would pay to see that too.
Yeah, my biggest shadow at the moment would probably be Xander Taylor.
Okay.
That dude is, that's that I really want to pick one or the other, but they're very close to each other, to be honest. But I feel like there's a giant shadow behind me that I need to take out before it really overshadows everything. Outside of IPW, who would I like to verse? If he was not injured and our match actually had gone ahead, I was really looking forward to versing the hooligan, Marcus Cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to. So him and I were supposed to verse each other in the Peter Lane Cup show. However, due to family reasons, he couldn't make it. So that all got tipped upside down, but that's fine. And then he's obviously had his surgery. Yeah. But when he's ready, that's one person from down there that I would love to have a go at. Like, that would be sick.
Oh yeah. I want that match to happen. We're going to go to the chat here. Bobby's got a question. Kind of touched a little bit on the travel within New Zealand and Australia, but Bobby'd like to know, maybe outside of that, what other country would you like to travel to one day and work for?
I mean, I'd like to. I've been in the US, and because my brother lives in the US, so that kind of already done. But if I was to go wrestle, I would probably pick the US or Canada. Like, I'd love to go. I would love to, the whole fact of coming to Canada and just like there's that history of, the dungeon and all that. Like, that's just, being able to come there and just experience that. Even though I know the dungeon's not there. It's not there. I don't think. No, but
I mean, they've since sold the house that the dungeon was at.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of that history here as well too, and that was only just recently. I think that they sold that. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Papa Smoke's Sue Hart's original family home here in Saskatoon still stands, or something like that. If I recall correctly, do you know?
Yeah, I've heard that before. I'm not sure where it is, but I know that the Hart mansion in Calgary used to be was is it a hospital or a jail or an insane asylum or something like that? It's a great big thing.
Yeah.
There used to be a bunch of people housed there, and they had lots of room for the dungeon, but that's just that's one province over from us. That's our neighbors over there in Calgary, Alberta. So if you come over, you won't be too far from us. One of those 5-hour drives away, something like that.
Yeah, make that tour right through Canada. Come our way. We'll get you on a PPW show here or something. We got a few people in the PPW roster we'd like to see you take care of for us. I can think of a couple anyway.
Let's have a chat, boys.
Well, I gotta know, Papa Smokes, if you had to book it right now, Jayrilla's in Saskatoon, PPW roster, who are you putting them in there with?
Well, there are a couple of good possibilities, but Jayrilla I would put against El Assassino.
Yeah, I mean,
I've heard this name passed around before.
You know what? I was going to say the same thing because guess what? I still need revenge for this. See what I mean? I need some assistance.
Oh, consider it done. I'm
all right. There we go. Eat those words, El Assassino. I've got backup coming.
Oh hell.
And then we got Bobby in the chat saying he'd love to see Jayrilla take on Bronson Reed. I mean, I don't think anyone would hesitate to see that matchup. That would be fantastic. So,
that would be insane, man. Like,
yeah, it would.
The fact that here's the other thing, because people say to me, "Oh, you kind of got a Bronson Reed look going." It's like, well, no, because I kind of had this idea. Well, he was Jonah Rock before going over to becoming Bronson Reed, right? And I was already thinking of ideas for gear and everything, and I was like, "Oh man, this dude's doing what I want. Whatever, roll with it." King Kong, I love King. The production of the idea of me being Jayrilla was, I think Kong Skull Island had come out, and I love that movie. That movie was fantastic, and the fact that I've always been a massive King Kong fan anyway. Like the Peter Jackson one, all the different movies of King Kong, I loved. So to incorporate that into being this character, and getting it off the ground was just insane for me. So yeah, nice. That's how that all came about.
Now we talk about being on the island and everything like that. Has that itch ever happened to kind of travel over and maybe take a shot at trying to go after, one of the tryouts with one of the bigger companies, whether it's the Dub, AEW, even maybe like a TNA, Ring of Honor. Well, I know Ring of Honor tied to AEW, or like an MLW even for that matter. Is that itch hit you yet, or that thought crossed your mind?
There was an itch at one point when I thought about trying out for AEW. I thought about going to the Nightmare Factory and going through that and potentially sticking that out and doing that. Then I had there's lots of other things that come into the factors of that, because as much as I'd love to do that, I've got things here in New Zealand that that hold me here. And I don't like being away for that long would be quite a big thing for me. But yeah, it was probably like, there was actually a point where I had a contact who was going to get me in touch with the Nightmare Factory and organize me to get in there. But the other half of me spoke higher than the other one, and I pulled out. So yeah, no, there was a time. I don't even think about the Performance Center, and I don't even think about the dojos, because I would be blown up and I would probably not make it, because that's just within me and myself. I don't know, anybody else sees it and about it, and they see something else in me that could do it. But for me personally, I would think that they would see me and I would just flake and I'd be like, nah. That's just me though. That's how I've always been.
If the itch ever comes back again, I'll let you know that both our champion in Prairie Pro Wrestling and another one of our regular roster members both went through the Nightmare Academy within the last couple of years, and be happy to at least hook you up with their contact, like to talk to them, see how they got a hold of getting in there and everything like that, if you're ever interested.
Sick. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So I could definitely pass along those contacts, but back to you, Pop Smokes. I'm sure you got some more questions.
Sure. Have you been learning about the history of wrestling in New Zealand? Who do you think is one of the top wrestlers or the top New Zealand wrestler from the past? And who do you think is the next big up and comer from your country?
Oh, I know minimal about the history of wrestling in New Zealand, apart from the fact that like On the Mat was back in the day, and that's where wrestling really started for here in New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
And so I love the fact that there's still some of those. We use this. It's not a way I really want to use it, but some of the old boys are still hanging around. Like they come and talk to guys, and we inducted a couple of them into the Hall of Fame and that. So yeah, I don't want to bury myself here because I'm not a very big historian on it. I just knew the characters from back on the Mat days.
Yeah.
But going into the future, wrestling wise, for New Zealand, I mean, I got to put it down to Hinare, who's currently repping us in New Japan. The only New Zealand Māori wrestler, a professional wrestler, to ever come out of New Zealand and be in the professional sport, in the realm of professional wrestling. So he's currently leading the way for us in that instance. If I was to look at it for IPW, there's a few people, man. I'd love to say, probably Xander Taylor. Speaking out of character, like putting the back, like that kid's only 17.
Damn,
he's only 17 years old. That dude towers over me.
Yeah,
but he's also a ring general. He is at 17. He's already able to conduct himself in matches where he knows what to do and what not to do, and what will be good for the match. So that's something to keep an eye on later on in the years when I'm gone, when Jake and I have stepped away and James is stepping away, all that kind of stuff. That's someone to keep an eye on for sure.
Watching him recently on these programs and everything, like he doesn't wrestle like any 17-year-old. I knew he was young. You could tell he's young, right? Like he's definitely got that baby face about him so far. But he wrestles beyond his years. I got to give that credit already, and he's going to be something else. I'm impressed.
He has a mixed martial arts background. I think he has a jiu-jitsu background. That's why he's fallen into it so easily.
It'll help.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. And he's just done like I hate putting this kid over. he's a really good kid, and he's gonna go a long way. Let's be honest. You can see it already, and that's not trying to blow him up or anything, but like he's got all the right things that he needs to progress forward in the industry, at least here anyway.
So what you're saying is he'll do really well for himself when the Great Ape decides to step aside.
Don't make me twitch here, Munson. You're making me twitch here. Getting this nervous twitch, and damn it.
All right. Well, let's go to an easier question. I know you kind of touched on this earlier, but Bobby missed that part. He's just curious how many years you have been wrestling.
So, Bobby, I started in 2020. I started training in 2020, and I debuted in 2023. So I've been going for, are we at 6 years now? I am at 6 years now. Because it was like the second week of Jan was when it would have been last week, sort of like the 20-something of Jan, I started training in 2020. So, yeah. And how time flies.
In that time, you had mentioned, because again, we ended up with the pandemic locking a lot of things down. I mean, it shut training down, it shut shows down, everything like that. What kind of impact did it have on your training? Because we were at times limited and were able to do some, but there was certain rules we had to follow, guidelines we had to follow. You couldn't have more than 2 people in a ring practicing together. They had to be masked. No more than, I think it was like 10 or 15 that were allowed even in the gymnasium period at the time. Was that available for you guys as well too? Were you able to keep your training going?
Yeah. So obviously after we did the whole nothing, we weren't allowed to do anything with anybody. Each week, each training day, so the 3 days, which was Tuesday was intermediate, Wednesday was beginners, and then Thursdays was for advanced. The Wednesday crew could only train with the Wednesday crew. The Tuesday could only be with the Tuesday. The Thursday could only be with the Thursday. And you could only have up to 10 people and only 2 people in the ring at the same time. So everything that you're saying, Munson, the mask, the sanitizer around, being away from each other unless you were in the ring and all that kind of stuff. We went through all of that. And, it stung. Like it didn't feel, it wasn't great because you could, as much as you wanted to do more stuff, you couldn't because you had those restrictions and you get into trouble for it if you didn't follow them,
Yeah, we faced the same thing here too, and it was a tough time. But again, some of our most prominent people that have come up over the last few years came out of that time. They worked through that time, and much like yourself, suddenly are really starting to shine in the business, which is fantastic to see. So, Pop Smokes, back over to you.
Okay, I wanted to know what it was like. What did it feel like after being a fan walking into the first show you were going to work? You mentioned just a little bit the first time you stood behind the curtain. That's got to be quite a feeling, like as though your journey's come up to this point, but then another one's about to begin.
I was absolutely shitting myself. Like it was Jake. I remember Jake told me it would have been a few months before the Eliminator, and I'd come to terms with it, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to be in the Eliminator. Sweet. And then the day of, I'm in the Eliminator. Holy shit. Holy shit. And then getting to the venue and then making sure that all the production stuff, just to bring that back too. Oh, actually, no, I'm going to leave that. But no, getting there and then helping out with all the setting up of production and everything and making sure that everything was working. And then going, okay, so what am I doing? What am I doing in this part of thing? And then running through all that kind of, that moment, like you were saying, Papa Smokes, I stayed behind the curtain. I forgot everything. Like everything just blew out of my mind, like a leaf blow had just gone through it, and I was just like, "What am I doing?" And then what? And then the music came on. I stepped out behind the curtain, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. Everything, all the blocks just fell back into place, and I knew what I was doing. The moment I stepped through the ropes, I was like, "Oh, I know what I'm doing," and it just all fell into place. It was insane.
So you're a natural. Your mind just went right back to your training, and you just went on instinct alone.
Yeah, I mean, it just literally clicked in, and I think there was one moment where it sort of dulled down a little bit, but that was more of the person was out of place, and I didn't notice where they were, so I just had to find them, and then I found them, and then everything just flowed after that. So yeah.
Yeah, that muscle memory just kicks in all of a sudden when it needs to the most. I always joke that here in Canada, once you've learned how to bump, the greatest thing is that when you go to slide on the ice, therefore moving forward, you're always going to land in a bump every single time. You're never going to land on your head or any other part again. It's just straight into a wrestling bump. Saved my bacon a few times. I got to ask, though, and I might know the answer, but I'm curious. What has been your favorite matchup that you've had so far in your career?
Oh. At first, off the hat of that, like straight out of the bat, like I've got to say that I've got to give it to everyone that I've versed, every one of my opponents that I've been against, because if it hadn't been for them, that I wouldn't have been able to get over how I've been. So I've got to give props to all of them, not just only the bookers, but like everyone that I've versed till next weekend. That's just. I got to give it to them all for allowing me to do what I've done to get to where I am. Favorite match though, it'd have to be am I going to pop the secret here for Papa Smokes if he hasn't watched it?
It's all good.
I've told him a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the Eliminator last year would be probably one of my favorite simply because I won the title, and yeah, it was a monumental moment for me. That was probably my favorite.
Yeah. We won't tell Papa Smokes any of the swerves that happened in that matchup. We'll let him watch that and catch up here first. But no, it was
He'll
awesome.
Love the swerves that happened in that match.
Oh yeah, he's gonna love this one for sure. And some other great ones coming up as well too. I think I was talking to you earlier there, Jay, and I've only got a couple more to get caught up here on IPW at the moment. Until I think there's what is there, one more card or something like that hasn't been quite released from last year so far?
So Nightmare Before Christmas hasn't been released. So it's the James and I match. Yeah.
Oh,
Final chapter.
And of course, we got to check that one out. I mean, you guys have had a great rivalry. For us watching so far, started up, but we do know that it comes to an end eventually, and we know that James has sent me all sorts of clips, especially from some of those matchups and everything.
Of course, he has.
Yeah. Well, he's got to get that in there. I mean, he was the OG New Zealand guy on our show here, so he's always got to make sure we're up to date with what he's got going on. So, but props to him out of, we're keeping away from the divine light. Props to James Shaw, not the divine light, is what we'll say right now. yeah. There we go. Yeah. Follow his gaming, and watch Jake crush him in the matches. That's how it goes. So, Papa Smokes, any other questions that you have to ask here? And again, audience, your last opportunity to get those questions in as we're reaching towards the top of the hour.
Well, just a quick one. One of the things I like about watching New Zealand wrestling is the fans. They remind me a lot of Canadian fans, particularly those SPW shows. The audio is quite clear from the crowd, so you can hear a lot of their chants. You can hear them talking. You can hear them heckling. So what city or town for you has the best or wildest or most interesting fans?
I gotta say Auckland. Auckland's been the best.
Yeah,
they're in, like, if there are any crowds that are invested in this, it's them, man. Like they know the history of us, the people we've versed. They know everything. They have their favorites. They have their heels, their faces. They just know the right people, and to get involved and back and who not to back. So Auckland has been bloody good, to be honest. They've been amazing to be, and then that crowd in Hamilton, because they didn't really follow. It was new to them, right? So they didn't really know, but they were still loud. They were loud for me. Munson will agree with that they were so loud that there was points where we had to almost block our ears to the point that it was that loud. But the best interactive crowd is Auckland for sure, because they just get amongst it. They all the kids are flipping off Will. They're telling everyone else, they're booing everybody else and all that kind of stuff. It's fantastic, man. That crowd has been really good.
Just you wait, Papa Smokes, as you get deeper into the releases on IPW New Zealand's channel. Some of the audience there, especially some of those kids, get very, very audible, and there's some stuff that passes through that we won't necessarily repeat on this show, but there is some very unique comments that are made throughout those programs. It is awesome. I love it.
That's familiar for us then, because we've got some wild kids at our shows that are pretty liberal with the middle fingers and some of the language there. It's such a good time.
Oh, they're more creative than some of the adults, because like I was telling Jay beforehand, the adults are 10 beers deep into the first bell of the match of the night kind of thing. And these kids, of course, they don't drink, but they've got that energy, and they're going to go all night long yelling at their least favorite wrestlers, cheering for their favorites. And man, it works out nice. I love it. The next generation of wrestling fans is going to be awesome. That's all I can say from watching them in these audiences.
Yeah.
I got to say, the one difference between your crowd and ours is that our crowds aren't drunk. they aren't drunk at all. They're just so invested.
Big difference.
Because we're alcohol-free events that we do. So that we don't have alcohol available. It's just soft drink. They're high on sugar more than anything. So it's insane. Like, to the fact that they're just all running wild on that with their own ways that they are. That's cool.
Yeah. Melba letting us know the Pro Wrestling Noah has a child that she's dubbed the Demon. He is very overzealous. And of course, you could learn more about Pro Wrestling Noah from Noah Unleashed, Melba's show here right on OLE Podcast. William Garage saying, imagine if they were drunk, Jay or Rowdy. And now you promised us at the beginning of the show, we're getting to the top. We gotta know, who is William?
I'll put it to you this way. I told you that I want to throttle him.
Okay, all right. I know who it is now. Oh my goodness, that is fantastic. Well, I apologize if you've ever heard what I've said about you on some of the previous streams here on the channel. But as William, much respect. All right, Bob Smokes, back to you. Anything else that you wanted to ask here tonight?
Sure. Just wondered if you might want to give a shout out to someone who helped you over your career or inspired you or made you feel good about working as a wrestler in the business.
I've got to give props to our bookers. They know who they are. I'm not going to out them on this because they I will get messages after this if they see this.
Yeah.
Or later after they rewatched it.
Hi, bookers.
Because they have looked after me as a big man and really booked me the way that a big man should have been booked. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting anything of how this has gone so far. So I've got to give massive props to them. My family that come to watch every show, like they don't have to do that either, but they're at every show to come and support me. There's one thing that I've done, and I'll talk about this real quickly before we wrap up. Over the span of the last year and a half, there's been two or 3 points, actually 3 points, but two other ones that have been they've impacted me in a way that I never thought that it would. I've had messages from parents of children that have come and said to me, "Hey, you've become an inspiration for my son. We love the fact that he can, he's got a smile on his face from ear to ear the moment you walk out. When he meets you, when he talks about you, when we go home, then another one saying that I've inspired them to do, to better themselves, to, want them to give it a go. You've given them this motivation." And I'm sitting there in this like imposter syndrome moment going, what am I doing that is creating this? Because I don't honestly think that I'm doing anything that warrants that. And it has blown my mind to that fact. So to those people's kids that I've inspired, I'm glad that I've been able to do that for them. And to all the ones that, the more others that are looking at, using or following me and, my career and everything, I just thank them all for the support. I thank everybody that supported me over this last 3 years in ring in 3 years. And it's just been unbelievable, man. Like I tell everybody, this is an absolute roller coaster. I was not expecting to be here in this situation. So yeah, let alone be interviewed by a couple of guys out of Canada, talking about wrestling. It's nuts, man. Like this stuff just blows my mind every time. So yeah, and again, thank you for having me on here. It's been great watching you guys watch us and then review it and then watch reactions, because then I don't have to get angry at either one of you because you're both loving the fact that I'm doing good stuff. So
yeah, absolutely love it. And I'm very honored to have you here. This is the point in the show, though. We're going to give you that opportunity. I've got a ticker on screen with some of your socials. Let people know where they could reach out to you, or if they happen to be in the area, where they could actually find you wrestling.
Yeah, so the Jayrilla _PW on Instagram. It's also my X hook as well. The Great Ape. I think it's the. Oh, you might have got that one on
I missed the T apparently in the Great Ape Jayrilla.
So the Great Ape Jayrilla on Facebook. And then our next show is the Auckland live show that out Rumble in the Square, which is happening next weekend on the February 8th. That's going to be an amazing weekend. It's a free show. No one's paying to come to that. It's open to the public, so anyone can come and watch it. And then February 28th is our first official IPW show back at Freeman's Bay Community Center with Collision Course, where I am taking on the other big man, Pat Shisk.
Oh, so, that'll be tasty.
Yep. It's going to be very, very meaty.
Yeah. Oh, man, sounds awesome. Well, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and cost me a lot of money because that fancy ticker down below belongs to Pop Smoke, so you're going to let the people know where to reach out to him at.
All right, everybody. Every Thursday night, I'm here on OLE Podcast and Video Bros Network on Ring Respect Radio. I can also be found on Elon Musk's free speech wonderland known as X, at smokes_papa, and also on Twitch, allegedly at least, at papa_smokes_.
Yeah, if you can find him, he is on there. But for myself, Bobby Munson, over the X-Real Bobby Munson, Instagram threads, Video Bros SK. On the Twitch, it's Video Bro _Bobby Munson, Blue Sky, Bobby Munson.bsky.social, where you can find me next. You can catch me this Sunday along with Andre C, possibly Ed as well, too. We're on Point of View, 11 a.m. Eastern time, giving you your updates of the week of sports. You want to learn more about footy, or American football, whichever one. We talk a lot about that on the show. Join us for it. You can also catch me and Pop Smokes every single Saturday over on YouTube at Prairie Pro Wrestling, where we are your commentary team for a brand new match every single Saturday from your vault. And of course, if you like what you saw here today, you like the shows that you see here on OLE Podcast, we ask you to follow us on all social media as well as YouTube and Twitch, where we are now a YouTube partner. Yes, folks, we're a YouTube partner. Super chats, super stickers, all those things are now available, and we are on the rise. So keep that going. We appreciate it. To give you have a chance, click the subscribe button down below, give us the notification bell, a thumbs up, and leave us a comment in the comment section below. Always reading them, always checking them out. Happy for all of you to be joining us every single week. And we want you to join us for more, because tonight, Jose and Auntie are back with the Mother Tongue Post Show coming up at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So stay tuned for them. But from myself, Papa Smokes, and Jayrilla, we wish you a very happy rest of your day. Thank you for joining us. Take care, everybody.